Hello and welcome to A Day with the Cart Driver. Calling to you from the piece of social isolation we're doing over here. In the middle of our lockdown.
Again, I still have to work.
Yes, you
so
are.
I am not locked down.
No.
Neither one of us has symptoms, so...
I coughed the other day and then got really worried.
Yeah, and then you worked yourself up into more coughs, and then next year you're like, I'm actually fine.
Yeah.
I keep taking my temperature whenever I leave the house.
Good thing you can't get the coronavirus through a microphone or through... You cannot digitally, orally...
I was going to say, microphones, that the first one of the NBA folks who tested positive, he was rubbing everybody's microphone, so they better hope they can't get it through that.
He was very funny.
It's joke.
It's joke. So we're not here to talk to you about coronavirus because you've probably heard all about that. We're instead going to talk about what everyone has been doing due to the coronavirus, which is sitting indoors and watching anime.
Yes.
And we have been watching anime from I fell behind on a bunch of these, but the anime from the winter season, which I've had a chance to catch up on, winter 2020. Since the season's nearly coming to an end, and now seemed like as good a time as any to do a quick catch up. What we watching, what we think's good. There's only been one anime we've actually been watching together. It's been unusual because, I mean, our taste has been quite different.
For a while, so we had some time.
We had a good run.
But our taste is actually
fairly
often dissimilar.
Yes.
You are unable to appreciate the greatness of work such as Symphogear. I, on the other hand, don't have a lot of patience for shonen, I guess.
I mean, I don't watch that much shonen.
You watch more than I do.
Yeah.
You're watching My Hero Academia.
Yeah, that's true.
You watched, what's his
Dr.
face?
Stone.
Go back to, we're all stone now, and I invented a wheel.
Yes.
And this kid wears an apple on their head. Also, you watched Demon Slayer last year.
I only got like half of it.
Yeah, this is still a lot more shonen than I've consumed lately. Although I suppose Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun is...
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's shonen.
Very much so. But actually, the one that we did watch together is also shonen.
Yes, I know.
Haikyuu.
Yes. Volleyball blah.
Volleyball boys. This season so far has been all training arc.
They just started one of the matches. They've started one
of the matches. They started a match now, yes, with some characters that we don't care about. Who are like, we are clearly going to lose characters.
It's like, yeah, we can totally beat them. Oh no, the team is having trouble adjusting to the size of this venue. What effort shall we do? Will they lose to this team you've never heard of before? I mean, there's still a few episodes left, so...
Yeah.
They could still lose!
They won't.
I know. Which is too bad, because, this new crew, they're pretty interesting.
Oh, like Snake Boy.
They've got headbands.
Oh yeah, headband boys.
I can't remember any of them.
The Snaky Boy.
Snaky Boy.
He's all like, calling him out for being shit. No, that wasn't them.
That was the previous... That was a different
team.
That was
the OVA.
Was the OVA.
We watched the OVA with Lev.
Yeah, with Nekoma and Fukuro Dani.
Lev being my number 2 waifu in this show.
Really?
Yeah. You don't like Lev?
He's fine. I'm just surprised because your favorite waifu is so different.
Yes.
Oikawa and Lev are
not very similar at all.
Oikawa's like, I'm such a bitch and I'm great at everything. Whereas Lev is like, I don't actually know totally how to play volleyball yet, but I'm tall, so they let me on the team.
Yes. Lev is trying his best.
To levitate.
Lev will kick all their asses with his Russian feet.
The OVAs, they're fine.
I liked it more than you, I think.
Yeah, see, I've read the manga somewhat recently of that arc, and it just... So much material has been excised that... And, that actually is also how I feel about Season 4, is... A bunch of the stuff in the early going, they excised a ton of material, and I know they can't do a frame-for-frame adaptation because the show would never end, but I will admit that some of the stuff they removed, I think it's unfortunate that they removed it.
Wait.
Like, there's some stuff with Yachi they took out.
I've just realised this is basically why you don't like this season as much as previous seasons. Is this the first season where you've actually read the manga? I think it is.
But I also I feel like the pacing's been kind of wonky.
Like, too fast?
No. If anything, too slow. I think we spent way too much time. Look, I like Hinata a lot. He's a great character. We spent an incredible amount of time on only him during this season. And yes, it's nice to see Hinata being more observant and having to learn in a situation where he's not allowed to participate. I don't think that there was 5 episodes worth of that.
I kind of agree with that. He is the main character.
Yes, but Kageyama is theoretically the co-main, right? And we barely saw anything for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just... Also, too, it's basically the same thing you had in season 2 at the start. Which was, Kageyama and Hinata, they're separated and they have to train separately. And now they have to come back together and, work together again. And, yeah. So, it doesn't... That's a dynamic that feels like a bit of wheels spinning, which I realize that's kind of inherent to sports shows to a degree, but yeah. We just didn't do much with Kageyama, where theoretically we should have. We had some stuff in there that was, momentous, like Kageyama having to be like, oh, am I being too nice now?
But I was okay.
Of course, also, too, I didn't really like the way that resolved.
With him being...
Well, with Hinata being like, it's okay for you to be a dick sometimes, because I'm not persuaded by that as an argument. I don't think you should say to someone who has turned over a new leaf, like, hey, actually, go back to being an asshole. I disagree with it on principle. Now, having said that, I really did like the bits we got with, Kyoko in the past couple of episodes. It made me wish we had more of it, but made me wish it hadn't taken this many seasons for them to give her a little more development, but what can you do? Also, holy hell, what happened to Yachi this season?
Yachi, she's done nothing.
Oh man, we've barely seen her.
I'll admit that I don't know, they're not part... I guess they're there. I don't know. I'm not super invested in their stories. I think I prefer the show being like slightly goofy, I guess. Like my favorite bit was spiky hair boy going rolling thunder and rolling into one of the other characters.
Was hilarious.
Yes,
that was easily the best part of the first half of this particular season.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think I've sort of, like, I get it was slow, but then you're saying, but then I wish we spent more on Kageyama. It's like actually the reverse. Kageyama is what we spent perfectly fine amount of time on.
Oh, maybe it's just they should have cut down on the amount of screen time for Hinata.
Yeah.
And spread the love around a little more.
Yeah, but the other part that you've touched on is part of the reason why this season's felt a bit slow is because it's going to end part way when nothing...
Yeah, I'm not sure what their exact reasoning was in doing that. Maybe it was reducing workload on the production staff. I don't know what else IG Production is working on at the moment. But it is kind of a kick in the teeth to... They're gonna probably end the current match, and then it's like, okay, wait until summer.
Yeah.
It makes the pacing weird. Like, maybe that's it, because, I mean, season 1 and season 2, the first halves of the season, were basically all developmental type stuff.
That's why it took me quite a while to get into season 1.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just tired of the same formula.
I could certainly see that.
And the other thing is, and I think I mentioned this to you, it's been such a gap since the last season aired. It's kind of, I'm having some difficulty with some of the characters getting back into being invested in them.
Hmm.
You know, some of the characters who are more secondary and supporting stuff.
Oh, you don't care about, is it Taniguchi is his name? The guy who only comes in
Yamaguchi.
Yamaguchi.
Wow, you can't even remember his name.
Look, he's like bitch boy.
Why is he bitch boy?
Hey, fuck boy then, I don't know.
He's fuck boy? What?
Yeah, because he just sits around and goes like, I'm barely existing.
He's Tsukishima's boyfriend.
Yeah, he's Tsukishima's boyfriend.
I feel like that's the most obvious case for boyfriends in
Yeah.
the show. Remember I said, was it last week or the week before? I can't get into shipping Kageyama and Hinata because Kageyama is too much of a fucking moron.
Mm-hmm.
And how I also said that what I have gotten out of this developmental stuff is that Hinata's dumb in the way that a lot of teen boys are dumb. Kageyama's a fucking moron outside of volleyball.
Well, we know what your ship is. It's the coach and the
Yes! It's Sensei and Coach.
Yes.
This is how I know I'm getting older.
It's just like, schoolboys? No.
Teacher and Coach? Yes!
Salary men?
They're not salary men.
A teacher earns a salary.
That's not what's implied by salary
I
man.
know.
Hey, you also were looking at it and going like, you're like, ship.
Well, I do it to amuse
It's because
you.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Yeah,
I'm ruining
basically.
you. Anyway, speaking of ruining you, why don't you talk about one of the shows? Well, you know, do you have anything else to say about Haikyuu? Because I feel like I've been talking a lot.
Not really. I'm just kind of... I'm waiting for it to get good.
Get good.
Get good.
Alright, what has gotten good for you then?
I am really enjoying Hands Off the Eizouken. The
Social isolate your Eizouken.
Socially Isolate. Which is the Masaki Yuasa one about an animation club, and it's just... Not joyous is the wrong word, but it's so creative and imaginative with how it presents everything, while also really getting to the heart of what these people are doing and presenting it in a way that, using visual metaphor in a way that's really effective. Like the scene where they show off their robot anime to the crowd and they have like images of the tank actually coming out of the screen and everyone like running and screaming. It just kind of showed that, oh look, this is how we know it was effective, because it feels like you're living in the scene. This stuff feels real. But I also just really like the world they inhabit in this kind of mix of like an old city that's been built up and dug down. Like it's halfway on its way to being the Ghost in the Shell mega Neo Tokyo type thing, but not quite there yet. But with a much lighter tone to it, and you can understand how people live in this city. And they kind of bring that's actually part of the show as well, as one of the main girls is in love with that part of the town, how it's just jury-rigged together. I'm really enjoying the show, and I'm enjoying it more with each episode as well.
I'll have to get around to watching it. Oh, sorry. The fact that Yuasa has, for the first time in years, managed to, like, tell his dick to shut the fuck up is...
He is a hugely talented director. I just got so tired of his things being about his libido, basically. Not even his libido, just his horniness. How can I, hands off my penis as I try to not touch myself because I'm a constant ball of horniness. It was basically what Yuasa has been doing for these past several years, and after a certain point it got less interest. After a certain point he wasn't saying anything interesting with it, and that is why I'm so much more on board with this show and its presentation of imagination. But it's also, it feels real in the key to this show working has actually been the one girl who doesn't have the imagination. She's the horrible girl with the teeth whose job is to basically get the others to do what she says so they can earn money in order to stay open. And they had this really good scene where they had her talking about how she worked at this convenience store to earn money from it to keep it open. And then it shut because they weren't getting any people there anymore. And she was traumatized by that. And she's like, no, you don't understand. We have to be on social media. We can't do projects just for people's benefit, just because people ask us. We got to do ones that benefit us. This is what we do so you can do what you love. And they're really effective at getting that across. She's pretty capitalist, so I'm kind of surprised that my Twitter feed likes her, but I'm enjoying the show a lot. And it has made its point so effectively that I'm so invested in it, and it's really, really, really enjoying it. Also, the opening still smacks.
Wait, we're saying smacks now instead of slaps?
Oh, is that what we're saying? God, I
think it's slaps.
Is
not
it slaps?
smacks.
Well,
Smacks sounds vaguely sexualized.
Slaps is more sexualized.
No, smacks is definitely more sexualized.
No, it's not. Slaps is definitely.
Smacks.
This song comes.
Appropriate for Yuasa.
Yeah.
Of course, whenever I hear it, immediately my brain just goes into... So I'm not watching it because I'm not really a Yuasa person, but I think I'm going to go back and watch it because people have really been digging it, and the ways in which they have been digging it are not ways in which I don't myself like Yuasa.
Yeah.
Or, don't like his work, at least. I have really no opinion about the person as a human being. Is that... Oh my god, Ed, and Eddie. Whenever I hear Easy Breezy, my brain immediately converts it into the Ed and Eddie theme song.
You hear Easy Breezy and then just hear the whistling. Do 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 do. Easy Breezy. Do 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 do.
And that also, oh man, it's gonna be hard to watch this show though, because I'm just gonna see Ed and Eddie while I try to watch it, and it's gonna be like, what the fuck.
I saw also a good tweet of them. I think this is a clip from something else, but it was a teeth girl going, "Hey, dumbass," and the goblin girl's like, "Oh, what?" And then the rich girl comes in and goes, "Oh, yes, me." And then goblin girl going, I thought I was dumbass." Well, yeah, that's a very good way of describing the dynamic in this show. She's great. Goblin Girl is great as well. Actually, they're all three of them are great.
Now I'm wondering to what degree I would, recognize their dynamic as a less harsh version of the dynamic among the Three Stooges. Which one is Curly?
I don't know enough about the Three Stooges.
Oh, that's right. You haven't seen it.
I'm not American.
I used to watch it with my dad. But then so the later seasons, they replaced Curly with this guy named Scamp. Scamp sucked. He wasn't as funny. I think Curly died. It was the 30s. That's what happened.
Coronavirus.
We're gonna have Roaring 20s Part 2, but the Depression's gonna be front loaded.
It was COVID-12 back then.
No, it was called the Spanish flu.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, man.
God, that was from then. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Hands
Off the Eizouken is really, really good. And
okay.
Like that off.
Next show. What do you want to talk about?
Next in line is the one that you're watching.
Oh, Inspector?
Yeah, are you caught up on that?
Yes, I actually watched the latest episode earlier today.
Ooh.
Did you watch the second episode with me?
Yes, but that was where I stopped.
Yes, because you weren't into Girl Talks to Giant Snake Bra.
People seem to be enjoying the show a lot, actually.
I am mostly really enjoying it. But when it goes stereotypical anime, it goes stereotypical anime in painful ways.
You walked in and saw me undressing. Now let's go to the beach.
No, it's more like when it dips into the dynamic. So there's the girl who, she's a woman. She's 19 at the point where there's a time skip. So she's 19 by the, third or fourth episode. And there's the guy that she's like, he's my boyfriend. And he's like, what?
He's like, shut up.
Not quite shut up, but just like, I'm not going to respond to this in any fashion. And then there's his ex, who's a police officer.
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure Kyo Shirodaira, who's the original author,
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a thing for female police officers because Spiral, the lead's sister-in-law, was a police officer.
Look, we all have our thing we're into.
And the lead had a crush on her, by the way. Mm-hmm. But
so
when they get into the, like...
So when he said, fuck the police, he meant it.
She wasn't a cop yet.
Okay.
Anyway, so when the anime dips into the lead, Kotoko, like, being like, oh, I must compete and make sure she knows that the man is mine. It's like, do we really have to do this anime bullshit? Like, folks, this is why I couldn't stand Blast of Tempest. Because it was too much of this anime bullshit.
It's the same author, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why I said it.
Yeah.
Yes, because someone told me, oh, you'll love it because didn't you like Blast of Tempest? It's like, no, I didn't at all. But I did like Spiral. So if it's a little more like that, I'll probably be okay with it.
And then someone's like, what? Spiral? That's some old person anime.
I mean, the folks who... Okay. I mean, Blast of Tempest is old person anime at this point.
2012. It's still not 10 years...
2012?
Still not 10 years old yet.
8 years is old for an anime.
It is.
When you consider the lifespan of fandom.
God.
I realize it's gotten longer, but it's still not exactly lengthy for most folks. Anyway, it's the type of show that I should like anyway because it's spirit busting. It also reminds me very heavily of... there's the author... Okay, Morio no Hako.
Yeah.
Speaking of old anime, of course that was never licensed, so no one's... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if people don't know what it was. But Morio no Hako, which was an adaptation by Madhouse of the second book in a series from the author... Is it Kyogoku Natsuhiko, I think? Of which the first book is Summer of the Ubume, which has been released in English by Vertical, and I really enjoyed it. It reminds me a lot of that. And Morio no Hako was a show where 2 episodes involved people sitting around a table in a room discussing basically etymology and folklore and psychology and, sociology and the ways in which these all weave together. Which, those episodes were great. I also know that's not a lot of people's kettle of fish. And I would say that Inspector's similar type episode drove you off of it. Because it was this sitting around coming up with theories type thing. It's gotten a little more dynamic as time has gone by because there's a ghost wielding a steel beam and trying to crush people with it.
Okay.
So, a little more
Is that
dynamism.
the big titty goth ghost?
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, the way that ends up developing, it's kind of depressing. Because she was an idol, and she was killed in an accident after being accused of murdering her father, and she had been trying to hide from the press because they were harassing her, and she had sneaked out to have a cigarette because she was underage, so she couldn't be smoking yet, and she was killed in an accident.
And then she was woken up and as a zombie and was hired to be an idol again.
Yes. No. I think Inspector's a little more cynical about the idol industry, although maybe more... It might be better to say cynical about the ways in which power work.
Yeah.
Because it's just depressing because she got scouted by Talon who's like, holy shit, your tits are huge. She's like, excuse me, that's not the only thing that's good about me. You don't even know me at all. So, she was a spirited person. And she had a deadbeat dad. And so she managed to lever herself out of her circumstances. And one of the things that gets repeated quite a bit is that she was quite smart. And her father resented the fact that she was smarter than he was.
So not like the very supportive father in Zombieland Saga.
No. So it ends up being depressing because she gets she manages to get out of her circumstances in life only to be killed because, she basically gets harassed to death. And then she comes back and becomes this, like, fetishistic ghost story for the continued titillation of audiences. There's a lot about the nature of truth and also the nature of, like, public sentiment in Inspector. I'm hoping they make a second season, though, because it seems like they will only just finish this particular story arc when the show ends. So we'll have had basically one story arc because the first 2 episodes are standalones. Actually, the second and third episodes are the same story, but...
Do we know if it's been successful?
I'm under the impression it's doing at least decently. But I really haven't dug into it that much. The way I've watched anime this season has been in fits and starts just because of the way my work schedule's been going.
Me too.
But,
Anyway. Moving on?
Yeah, sure.
So the next one is my show, which is Invaded. Which is
no one is watching this.
No, actually, I think I have actually seen... It's a slow buzz.
I'm teasing you.
It's a slow buzz under it.
I know that more people, because you looked this up earlier, more people are watching, Somali.
Yes, but it's definitely getting a slow buzz of, like, groundswell support. Its score on Mala has, like, kicked up from low 7s to, like, 7.8 now, which is...
and it is one of the ones that Funimation opted to dub.
Yes.
So that would seem to indicate they at least expected that people would be interested enough to justify. To put this in, and to put it in perspective, 22/7 is not getting dubbed.
No. Not entirely surprised about that. I feel like the Idol stuff feels like it, not only is it less popular, but it also does better with audiences who are more likely to watch a sub anyway. Whereas if It Invaded, like, took off, it's the kind of thing that you would get a casual audience to watch.
Now I'm trying to remember if Budokan is getting dubbed or not. Whatever.
Anyway. I discovered, by the way, because we finally got our hands on, thanks to our tech wizard over here, got our hands on a VPN. So I can now watch things on Funimation legally. And I've discovered, and I was like, I'll watch the dub for some of these shows because, I don't have to pay entire attention to the screen all the time. I
don't think It Invaded is one where you can't pay attention to the screen the whole time.
It's true. Oh God, it's so difficult to follow It Invaded sometimes. But I discovered that, switching to a dub after, this was My Hero Academia, which I don't even think the dub's that good. I'll talk about that when we get to it. But It Invaded, God... The writing in the show is excellent. The directing is bad. And the animation is...
The visuals are kind of...
Oh, God, the visuals have gone off a cliff.
I'll look over the shoulder for you, and it's like... These character designs are a bit bland. But they're also, like...
It's weirdly flat-faced, so when they turn to the side, their face doesn't turn with them. So
so it's like Kageyama in that one episode where his face was flat.
That's what it looks like. It looks like their faces are a 2D plane, even as they turn their face.
In the one in Inspector, she has no face.
Yes.
So her face is flat.
Which is a shame, because, my God, the writing... I want to see what else this author does. Because he's been around for a while. He's written short stories and things. I've looked him up after this, including I should probably watch Dragon Dentist now, because that was the one of all those. There was a shorts by, it wasn't Trigger, but I think Trigger did Dragon Dentist. I might be wrong.
Like shorts, they're comfy and easy to wear.
I can't remember who did it, but there was a series of shorts, and then
I think it was Trigger.
And then Dragon Dentist was the one people said, no, this is the good one, and people have been saying this is the good one for things he's been involved with for a while now, and. It's his writing that propels this thing and keeps me going and wanting to know more about what on earth he's building towards. It's just this...
How long is it?
It's only a single core.
So it's wrapping up soon.
Yes. I Actually, one of my problems in the latest episodes is purely been trying to follow along because they've gone full Inception and are jumping down multiple layers of dreams. Like the whole, it's murdering people in dreams, and are they still alive 2 dreams down, but are they still alive in the top level of real world? And then there's like, it's really difficult to follow, but it's fascinating to follow at the same time. This idea of, like, I don't want to spoil, I guess, as part of it if you haven't caught up, because just these weird concepts of, you know, if you do something evil in a dream, does that count as evil? What qualifies you as being a mass? Well, in this case, they're talking about serial murderers. But it's like, if you murder someone in a dream, does that count? If you're not murdering them with your own hands, if you're just convincing them to kill themselves, do you count? What qualifies you as a messed up person? Is it your desire to kill someone and so on? And, you know, are you missing... Is there something wrong with your brain? I mean, they've used the quite very, very obvious visual thing of people having literal holes in their brain. Is a pretty major theme throughout the show.
Yeah, didn't someone, like, drill a hole in his head?
Yes, they've got the perforator. God, and there's... but it's also, like, it can be dryly funny as well, in that way that a well-written show usually is. And, like, there's the scene where they've got the main character and the guy with the hole in his head, and they've both woken up in a dream world, which is in a desert, and they're talking about peeing, and he's talking about peeing on their jumper so they don't die in the heat. And it just cuts to all the characters who the police force who have to watch in on them, just like staring at this, going like, what the hell am I doing with my life, kind of thing. It's very cleverly written, and and I'm really engaged in the psyche of these characters they're constantly building up. And, like, the main character especially, but side characters as well. I want to know more about them. I want to follow what they're building on them. It's a fascinating piece of science fiction that's very... Inception is cool. Inception isn't saying anything.
Inception is an enjoyable... I would make the argument it is exactly what I want in the concept of a popcorn flick.
Yes.
It is a very well made and well put together piece of entertainment that isn't actually deep.
It isn't. Inception isn't saying anything. This is, and the characters are deeper than that, which makes it a lot more interesting to follow, even if it can be head-scratchingly difficult to follow. Because it's relatively okay to... Inception's a bit mind-bending, but you can follow along with it because there's no themes you're trying to keep track of. I'm trying to keep a track of themes as well as what the hell layer of dreams we're on now.
Did you ever watch Shutter Island?
No.
If you... Given that you liked Inception, you might enjoy Shutter Island.
I didn't enjoy Paprika, mind you, which is what a bunch of this stuff is based off of.
Shutter Island was a book by Dennis Lehane, who more people are probably going to recognize his name if I say he also wrote Mystic River, which, holy hell, that was a depressing book. I read that when I was like 11.
Yeah.
My reading materials were maybe not always age appropriate. I also read books like Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I think I read that when I was 14. Trying to think of some other... Well, my grandmother, she let me read her People magazines.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I have this weirdly large store of knowledge about more sensational events from the 90s than is, I think, normal for a person of my age, because I read the People magazine articles. So, man, yeah.
You knew all about the mass murderers.
There weren't that many, but, like, I remember a lot of stuff about the Heaven's Gate case.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I know a lot about the O.J. Simpson case. Although in that case, that's because we watched the trial.
I think you're not unique in that regard, even amongst children in America.
Well, O.J. Simpson. Yeah. Heaven's Gate, maybe a bit less. You know, some of these other things, it's not stuff that people recall that much about. But anyway.
But yeah,
where was I going with this? Shutter Island. It was by Dennis Lehane. Leonardo DiCaprio played the lead in that also. I don't remember who was the director, though. I don't know if it was Nolan. There are some kind of similar things going on. You might enjoy it. It's not particularly deep. It is clever.
But yeah.
You might like it.
It invaded. Yeah, it's kind of gone from being a cyberpunk police procedural, which it was at the start, to closer to something like a cyberpunk, I don't know what you call them, the Silence of the Lambs type things. Just like...
Yeah, I don't know what those are called.
Delving into the psychology of mass murderers type thing. But more...
Psychological thriller.
Psychological... Yeah, psychological is a good way. Like psychological police procedural, I guess. Which I guess a lot of police procedurals are criminology. Criminology is inherently psychological, I guess, particularly when you're dealing with it in a TV series. Very.
I think I would make the argument that criminology is actually not necessarily psychological. A lot of times it's sociological.
Yes.
And those are not the same thing.
Yeah. But when it comes into a TV show.
In fact, arguably, criminology as a field bears much, well...
I think when it comes to the TV...
The bend of criminology in the 90s was such that it was more sociological as opposed to psychological.
I could say that then these type of shows are a blend of the sociological and the psychological. They'll start on the sociological, like they're chasing this one guy and looking at him from a sociological standpoint. But when they actually get to the guy and he does his spiel, that's when you get into the psychological. And in this case, when you're delving into their id, as is the name of the show, that's when it gets real psychological. It's a really good show. Just bear in mind it is not well animated. I hope it sticks the landing. I almost don't know what the hell they're going to do with the landing, but... because...
Congratulations.
Oh, God. I mean, you're not entirely wrong either. Because the problem is, I'm not caught up. I'm like 2 episodes behind, but like he's been in a dream world for a while now where like things like his daughter is still alive and his wife is still alive.
Wow, spoilers.
Look.
Go deeper.
Look, he's been in that world before. And it's just like, what the hell is going... The daughter and wife still being alive was revealed in episode 1. Being
spoilers!
Dead. Anyway, it is... So it's almost hard to see, like, I don't know where they can take this character from here, because he's not a good person. He's convinces people to kill themselves repeatedly.
Maybe he convinces himself to kill himself, then.
Jesus. I don't think... I mean...
Alright.
Yeah, anyway, fascinating show. But we'll move on.
To Richard, actually the title is... The Case Files of Jeweler Richard, which is really an awkward translation, but whatever. You go to war with the army you have, not the army you want, or whatever the fuck it was. I feel like this is a hard sell, and I feel like I want to sell it because I want more people to watch it, because it's a good show.
Seems like you're enjoying it.
I'm really enjoying it, and it's painful to me that there's no way in hell it's getting a second season. I have been licensed requesting the light novels, though. Woohoo! So, Richard the Jeweler. So the premise seems kind of weird on the face of it. It's about... So, there's this guy named Seigi, who... He's a college student, and one evening he saves a man from some drunk thugs, and the man is his jeweler... Richard, and he's like, oh, you know, what can I do to thank you for this? And say he's like, actually, can you help me figure out who owns this ring? And it's a ring that his grandmother stole from someone. And he doesn't tell Richard this at first. Richard traces it. And when Seigi goes in to get the answer, Richard's like, you know this is stolen, right? And Seigi has to come forth with... Yeah, I do. Here's the story. My grandmother was a pickpocket because she was a single mom and she couldn't get work otherwise. So she resorted to pickpocketing. And, oh, by the way, my mom resented her for this. And you also get the sense that Seiki and his mother don't have a great relationship. And just this generational poverty and... marginalization has impacted familial relationships down to the present day.
I remember you talking all of this when we did the last podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't repeat myself too much. Anyway, so what ends up happening is Seiki ends up working for Richard, and people come into the store, and there's basically, the show ends up being about a lot of, like, social problems.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from the...
Not hyper heavy hitting. It gets it's a little more hopeful in the early going. One of the episodes, I think it was like 7 or 8, the upshot of it ended up basically being that
racism is bad.
Well, that was one of the that's one of the messages. But also there's one episode where Seiki runs into a guy that he went to high school with who was in was it the kendo club? No. They did judo, I think. And it was his admired senpai, and he's really excited to have run into him. And they end up going out for dinner, and senpai reveals, well, he had to drop out of college because his family situation, he had to go to work. There, I forget the exact reasoning, but, something happened in the family, they couldn't afford it, so he had to go to work. And the way the episode develops, it's Seiki having to realize that people change, that, when people end up in less than ideal situations, they sometimes act in ways that don't seem right. And that, you yourself wanting to do the right thing isn't necessarily always the right answer or the answer that's going to lead to the best outcomes, or that's something that everybody's going to welcome. And so some of it, one of the things that I find interesting about the show is the dynamic between Richard and Seiki, because mostly in anime, when you have Western
Richard's from, like, Liechtenstein or something.
No, he's from England. But
England.
He's, like, partly Sri Lankan.
Okay, yes.
Because, of course,
Yeah.
Sri Lankans, they've got blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yes.
And for the record, I know that there are multiple ethnicities in Sri Lanka, but...
I don't think any of them have blonde hair and blue eyes.
Well,
The Vikings didn't make it down there.
More specifically, I'm saying Sri Lankan because it's not like the show is engaging at that level of ethnic differences. And I'm also very specifically saying this because I know it's been a matter of contention in Sri Lanka. I mean, you had the Tamil Tigers for years. But unlike is the case on a lot of shows...
Sorry, I thought you, for some reason, said there's a big cohort of Sri Lankan otaku who are very angry at this show.
No, I just meant more generally.
More like yeah, in history.
Society is difficult and complicated.
I mean, that seems like Richard the Jeweler's whole shtick is...
Yes, but...
We live in a society.
Yes, but also not so much so that it's engaging with the ethnic tensions of Sri Lanka. It also doesn't totally get it right in the context of England.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh, your thing says that you have to marry a traditional English housewife, which doesn't make any sense for an aristocratic family, which anyway, but that's a different subplot. But what I was trying to say is the dynamic between Richard and Seiki is interesting in that so often in anime, the Western characters on the scene basically to shake shit up. They're loud. They're ignorant. They're not trying to be a jerk. It's just, Westerners are different, man.
Yeah.
They're loud and they're disruptive. Well, in the case of Richard the Jeweler, Seiki's the one who can't keep his nose out of things that aren't any of his business. He busts into things, he upsets things. He is dedicated to trying to fix stuff, even when he is there's no reason for him to get involved. Richard, on the other hand, is very withdrawn's the wrong way of putting it, but he's very...
Soft-spoken English gentleman is what he's supposed to...
Well, he's reserved.
Yes.
He's reserved. He doesn't get worked up, usually. he's not sticking his nose into matters that are totally not his business. And so the dynamic being flipped is interesting to watch in execution. And also, Seigi having to basically grow up a bit. Realize, no, you can't be so his full name...
You can't fix society.
Well, it's also his full name translates to Hero of Justice.
Okay. Okay, fine.
And he himself admits that this has colored his interaction with the world. And he feels a need to try to fix things. But he can't. All of the time. So I've really enjoyed it. There was one episode earlier on that had a really stupid storyline, but most of them are pretty solid. And yes, especially in the later going, there is definitely racism. It fucks shit up.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole thing with a family being torn apart over the patriarch's racism.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wrote because he was so dedicated to being racist, he wrote stuff into his will.
Yeah.
That is screwing people's lives up in the present day.
Yeah. Anyway, next up on our list, it's my turn with Magia Record, which is good. So it took me a while to kind of realize what this show has been doing, which is it's kind of like it. I mean, it's not quite episodic because they usually take 2 episodes to solve a problem, but it's basically instead of they fight these things. I forgot what they're bloody called. They fight these things that are not witches, but are sort of like witches that are basically witch versions of those rumors that circulate schools. The ones like, if you go up this stairs and then write the name here, then the ghost will come and take you away. If you stand here, you'll hear a girl's voice, kind of thing. Not rumors, what are they called? The myths.
School legends.
The school legends. It's basically that, but each one of them is like a Madoka witch, basically. Except not a witch, that's important. And it's all in this one city. And they're trying to figure out why these things are here and what they're doing and why this other group are engaging with these creatures who are other group of magical girls are engaging with these new monsters, saying they're trying to save magical girls by doing this. Which if you transpose save magical girls out to save teenage girls from their own suffering, which is what witches are essentially supposed to be. Is a teenage girl suffering from society. So that's essentially what
everyone's suffering from society this season.
I mean, that's stories in a nutshell. We're suffering from society. Sorry. I mean, am I wrong?
Is Pokemon about suffering in society?
I mean, I'm looking down the list. Haikyuu probably isn't. Eizouken is we are succeeding despite society.
Spectre is about some of them suffering
in
from society.
It Invaded is
suffering from society.
Society suffering from them, I think, is a probably better way of putting it.
Richard the Jeweler, there's people suffering from society.
Magic Record, yes.
If my favorite pop idol made it to Budokan, I would die. That is to a degree about people suffering in society.
My Hero Academia.
Although the show isn't totally committed either way.
My Hero Academia, I'd also use... Okay, yeah, you get the point. But yeah, so... The problem with that premise is it is inherently episodic and needs individual stories to be interesting and individual characters who are taken from each story to be interesting. And they're not. Actually, the stories themselves are okay. Like, I actually quite like the one where there was a girl who trapped in... There was like an AI who was made to talk to people, but then everyone just swore at the AI. Like, you remember that Twitter bot they put out that just turned into a Nazi? Basically, that happened. And then this one...
Oh, like most Twitter bots.
Yes, and this one girl who was like bullied, and so no one saw her, and so she basically did the equivalent of jump off a cliff. She jumped off a high building. Yes.
It's Lane.
Kinda. Jump off kinda, to live in this, like, digital world alongside
the Serial Experiments Lane.
You're not, again, I mean, Serial Experiments.
Actually, wasn't some of Boogie Pop involving stuff like that, too?
Yeah, actually, that is true. very similar to those kind of shows. It's become one of those shows, basically. But just with the Madoka coat of paint over it. So everyone fights like cotton balls with mustaches on them kind of thing. Felt cutouts. Which I still...
shots of wires?
Yes, no, there's no shot. Actually, there kind of is. But it's the shaft thing slapped over. And I enjoy that, which is a big part of the reason why I'm still enjoying this show. But I'm just, with the exception maybe of the older blue-haired girl who's got the best design of them all. She's got the stars on her dress when she becomes the magical girl. Exception of her, she's the only character I actually quite like. I'm not invested in anyone else. I want to know what's happened to your one sister. That's still, and like why she's been called here to save magical girls, but they're not going to tell me. And I think this fundamentally comes from the fact that it's based off a game, because the game tells it in arcs and story arcs. You know, you do this arc and then you do this quest line, do this quest line. And it's not like that's a bad way to tell a story. It's just the characters and sometimes the stories as well aren't strong enough to really hold up. I'm still enjoying the show, but just not as much as I should. Not as much as other shows this season. Definitely not as much as the original Madoka. Speaking of old ass anime at this stage, the original Madoka, again, it had the same problem with the characters, but because it's one central story that it told was so strong, that was what propelled you through it.
Also, their outfits had better designs on it.
Their outfits had better design. Also, because that show was constantly revealing more about the story with each episode, it was kind of a thriller, and thrillers propel themselves off these twists and reveals, and that's what I'm waving my hand around a lot here. But
now you're making me wonder if my colleague ever finished Madoka Magica.
I think he seemed turned off.
Yeah, he didn't seem to. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like this has been very well received, which
They changed it, now it sucks.
Like,
I mean,
I don't think it's bad, though.
Here's the thing. To be fair, have Madoka fans really actually been happy with most of what's come since? I mean, think of how upset people were about the third movie.
That I've seen reactions kind of go all over the place on that one. But yeah, you're right.
I feel like the negative ones have been the ones that have endured. Anyway, my 2 cents on this is just from looking over your shoulder. Man, their magical girl outfits are so disappointing.
Yeah, it's like...
Other than the blue-haired one, hers is... I really like hers, but the rest of them, it's just like, hey, we didn't want to draw any intricate designs on people's torsos, so their midriffs are just all bared.
Get a load of these navels.
And it's like... one or two, okay. If it's half the cast, it's a bit boring.
Half? That's basically everyone apart from Blue Hair Girl.
Well, it's boring.
Yeah.
It's very boring. And I do think that was the strength of the original. As someone who was not a huge fan of the original, I liked that the outfits were all quite individualistic.
Yeah. One thing I do quite like about, again, Blue Hair Girl, again, I keep forgetting her name, why she's best is because it took me a while to realise, she's like 21, 22. Maybe even older than that. She's been at this for like, I thought
they said 6 years.
Like 6 to 8 years or something. She's been a magical girl for. She's got her own house. She like goes shopping looking for deals in the shopping center. It's like, we must find the ones that have the red tags on them kind of thing. You know, she cooks, she takes them into her home and cooks for them and stuff. And she's great. Whereas
in the previous show, what's her face there?
Mammy?
No. Well, yeah, but no, the other one. What's her face? Purple.
Madoka?
Purple, not pink.
Homura?
Yeah, Homura. Meanwhile, Homura, she's like, I have my own place and it's full of guns.
That's the Shaft aesthetic right there.
My home is full of guns.
My home is full of this one single object, except there's a billion of them.
Well.
But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of, we live in a society. I actually would like to talk about both the idol shows I'm watching.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
That freezes you out for a little bit. So I'm watching both Oshibudo, which as I said, is if my favorite pop idol made it to Budokan, I would die. I'm also watching 22/7, although I only started watching that within the last week. They're very different shows, even though they both have idols at the center. Oshibudo is about a young woman who is a crazy idol fan. And it's primarily about her. It's a little bit about the idol that she is a fan of, Mina, who's part of this relatively minor idol outfit called Jam Jam, which I can't decide if that's a good name or not.
I like that name.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I like Jam Jam.
Jam Jam, not Jam Jam.
Jam Jam.
No, Cham.
Oh, Cham.
Cham Jam.
Okay, I like it less now. I liked Jam Jam. I could see even a Western band being called Jam Jam.
Anyway, great. Now all I can think of is Pearl Jam.
See?
I'm barely old enough to
Pearl
remember
Jam
them.
could definitely be the name of an idol group, wouldn't it? Pervu Jambu.
Thank you. Anyway, so Mina is the idol, Eripio is the fan, and Eripio has no fucking life. I can't decide. It's not. The show is about the fans primarily, and it's just. It doesn't seem itself to be quite decided on whether it is critiquing the fact that there's an exploitative nature on both sides of the equation, which is to say, the industry's exploiting both the fans and the idols themselves. I can't decide if it's like, hey, this stuff isn't very healthy, or if it just thinks it's okay that its protagonists are the way they are. It's kind of hard to tell. I know people who are reading the manga are wondering at this point if maybe the whole thing is elaborate satire. And it's on, I think, the 8th volume of manga. It's the 6th or the 8th.
Whenever people start talking about elaborate satire, all I think is Poe's Law. I think at that stage I think at some stage, if your satire is too...
Well, but not...
At some point you have to pull back the curtain.
But in a way, satire in which the author is also fucking trolling us.
Well, we'll see.
We're not going to see in the anime because the anime is... Well, I just said the manga's like 6 or 8 volumes long. There's no way in hell they're covering all the material.
Okay.
And it also... People who are holding out hoping that the main couple will actually do something other than stammer at each other, it's not going to happen. It still hasn't happened in all the volumes of the manga. It's not going to happen, folks. Eripio has got to be the most extreme version of, like, I can't tell that I'm gay. She's spent the last 2 years of her life in the show, like, becoming increasingly single-minded in her devotion to this idol, and like, she has a shitty job. She only owns 1 pair of clothes, and it's her gym clothes from high school. She only works so that she can afford CDs and handshake tickets. And she goes into a maid cafe in one episode with one of the other fans, and she's like, oh, everyone's so cute! And it's like, girl, what the fuck? You're gay. Don't you get it? Has it not occurred to you in this entire time that you're fucking homo? Like, come the fuck on. I know I took a little while to figure out that I was bisexual, but, I still figured it out by the time I was 15. And it's... Eripio has 2 fans that she's close with, and one of them, Kumasa, he is... I actually like him a lot, which is weird because I feel like I shouldn't.
Is he the fat bloke?
He's chubbier.
Yeah.
He's the one who's been the longtime idol fan. And I will say this, I think the show does a good job of... Because on the face of it, he seems like a character you shouldn't like. Because it's like, oh, he's the stereotype.
Yeah.
He's chubby, he's older... He's, like, this is the only thing in his life, blah, blah, blah. Although it's implied that he has a little more of a life outside of it than do the other, than does Eripio. but he seems much more realistic about the nature of what's actually the nature of the relationship between fans and the idols. He's much more realistic about it, whereas the other guy in their group, Motoi, who's a more recent fan, is like, oh, I want to date this idol, and the fact that I've given her presents, maybe she will notice me someday. And oh, there was a rumor she was seen with a guy, so her popularity's gone down, so maybe I'll be the only fan, and then she will notice me. And it's like, whoa, dude, you're fucked up. Like, why are you so happy when she's miserable? You're gross. Whereas Kumasa he seems like he's actually a decent person, which...
He gets it.
It feels weird to say that of an idol mega fan. But he's more realistic. He's more mature. Yeah. Now, so there's the other one, 22/7. So this one started out, this was the one that people were like, wow, this is kind of weird. This is an idol show in which everybody takes commands from a semi-sentient wall that communicates with metal plates. And doesn't answer questions.
Okay.
And
we live in a society.
Yeah. This is another one where I feel like they skate close to some considerations at a deeper social level, and then they just don't do anything with it because ultimately it's the vehicle for an idol group that exists in real life. Although, unlike a lot of other ones, all the characters are fictional.
Okay.
So the real life members of the idol group are voicing characters who are not themselves.
Okay.
So I guess a little bit like AKB 0048.
Yes, but they're voicing in AKB, are they voicing like descendants? Like,
well, it's like the ones who inherit
the title. Yes, that's what we're looking for.
But actually, AKB 0048 is a decent comparison point because in that one, there's like weird stuff going on with underneath the practice house. We are at the Temple of Idol, and that the gods will reveal to us who the next one should be for this position. The idols themselves are not aware of this, though. Anyway, so 22/7 takes a slightly bizarre tack, but it's ultimately it's not really that different.
From any other idol shows.
Yeah.
With idol show expert over here, Day.
Oh, God.
I mean, you are at this stage.
Yeah.
So I watch Shonen and you watch idols.
Yeah, apparently. I like girls and you like wait.
No, young boys. Wait, no.
No. Shonen. That means young boy, right?
Yeah.
Shonen. Shotokan. That's the name.
Yes, I love Shotokan.
I feel conflicted about Oshibudo. I feel also conflicted about 22/7 because there have been a few actually really good episodes where they have so it ends up proceeding fairly episodically with the focus on one idol at a time, and I've been interested to see the ways in which they've taken stuff that's tropey and breathed life into it, and actually have had a couple of very good episodes. Most of it's not very good, though. It's gobsmackingly stupid, the setup, because, you can understand why the production folks in the show are like, yes, we must listen to the wall, because apparently their whole lives are dedicated to this, and they've built this huge 6 floors of headquarters underground. So, okay, fine. But then you have the 8 girls and women who show up. And at first, a few of them are like, yo, what? A wall? This is dumb. But then they just all knuckle under and they're like, oh yes, well we must because the walls, it's commands. You must obey them. There's no questioning it. And it's like, it's a fucking wall. And you're in Japan. You can walk away from this bullshit. No one is making you stay here. I know the idol industry is exploitative and controlling, but the idea that you have 18-year-olds who are like, yes, I must listen to this wall that spits out metal plates and tells me that I have to, consent to an Okinawa beach photo shoot where they're going to jam the camera halfway up my vagina. It's stupid. And, you kind of settle in on an episode basis, but then the wall shows up again and it's like, hey, motherfuckers, guess what? And their producer's like, you must listen. And it's just, And, for the 2 episodes that were quite good, the other folks' backstories, it's just... So the lead, the girl who is initially looks like she's going to be the lead, is this very shy girl who ends up, she's like, idols are dumb, I don't want to do this, fuck you all, and leaves. Except she doesn't say fuck you all because she's shy. Well, then she ends up going along with it because she gets fired from her job and her family is dependent upon her income because her mom's sick and dad just doesn't exist. And, she's reduced to she sells her electronic keyboard, even though it's clear she loves playing it, and she only gets 1,400 yen for it. And they live in an apartment where everyone has their own bedroom. There are 3 bedrooms in this place. They have a bathroom built in. It's a modern apartment. And you're telling me that the only person who's contributing financially is the girl who's working part-time at Family Mart? Yeah, okay. Yeah, her family's really struggling to get by. I
Rent's
believe
going
that.
down a lot.
Oh, God. And then the one who was raised in America, goes to visit her and she's like, wow, this is an apartment complex. We don't have these in America. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's the one who was raised... this girl is voiced by the one who was raised in America, partly. What?
I have never heard of New York. New York City, what's that? I only know Kansas.
Well, I am from Wyoming. Rural Wyoming. I live in a hut. Except I am rich.
I only know about the Dakotas, Kansas, and Wyoming.
Oh, man. It's just...
I once went to the big city of Colorado Springs.
They definitely have apartment
I'm in blocks in Colorado
Springs.
What would be the big city of a place that's not a big city?
I went to the big city.
Springfield.
Of Bismarck.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I have very mixed feelings, mostly negative about this show, because, again, the episodes have been good. I've really enjoyed it, and I've also been surprised at how well they've been executed, giving that, for example, one of them, I knew pretty much from the beginning what was going to end up happening in the episode, but it was still, it involved me, it engaged me, but yeah, most of it's just like...
You were saying that you think maybe just look and see who the episode director were. And
yes, I am curious to see if there were different episode directors.
And maybe follow them.
I'll finish watching it. I am skipping the episode about the character who is the, cold and withdrawn girl, because I just don't give a shit.
You're missing the best episode.
Also, some of the characters suck immensely. Anyway.
But anyway, moving on to Shotokan.
My Shoto Academia.
Yes, My Shoto, no. My Hero Academia. So, we haven't really been doing these... We were doing podcasts last in 2019. We were just doing lots of recaps of the past decade. So, you haven't heard me talk too much about My Hero Academia. Therefore, you haven't get to hear me bitch my way through all of Season 3 and the start of Season 4. Because, boy, have I been dropping off my feelings for this show quite a bit, after really, really loving Season 2 especially. And then this new arc starts with Gentle Criminal. And I'm like, this is not serious in the slightest, and I kind of love it. It's based around a school festival arc where they run a rock band with cool musician lady with the headphone jacks in her ears, and it's like,
wow, you really know the characters well.
Yeah, I'm very good at characters, and the show is having clearly a hell of a lot more fun and goofiness now, and I'm like, I am so on board for this. I got really tired of just hilariously evil villains. Like, I did like Stain back in season 2, but he wasn't actually an interesting character. It was just what he pulled out in everyone else. And he was just this raw anger that then got pushed out to everyone else and amplified we live in a society. Amplified society's anger. And that was what...
say, gentle criminal is we live in a society too, though.
Yes. And that's actually part of the reason why he's interesting too. But also because he's just goofy as hell. He's like... His big thing was he was so sad that he wasn't getting any YouTube videos. And that's why La Brava joined him. So she could make sure his YouTube clicks went up. And that's hilarious to me. That this villain is basing his thing around, I can't get any YouTube videos for my fucking criminal vlogs in which I drink tea at the start. Like, his plan for the new thing, it's like, here's our plan. First we will go to this small cafe where they've got this tea I really like. And then we go and attack this school. And you're like, yes.
Looking over your shoulder.
Yeah.
Do you remember me commenting? If they made a spin-off just about these two,
yeah,
I would read it, even though I have no interest in My Hero Academia.
They're great, and they're just having more goofy fun at the school as well. And so I ended up asking on Twitter, like, is this a common opinion, or am I the weird one here? Because this is very much like the Vegeta goes and gets a driving license type of... Which is to say, like, older, less serious fans of the show fucking love that bit. But young, edgy kids who like Dragon Ball hated those episodes. And this sign of, like, growing up is when you switch and you're suddenly into the Vegeta gets a driving license episodes. And that's what this arc feels like. And I love it, but I can't tell... In my head, I'm like, I can totally see why younger fans who love the kind of dark, serious cartoon that My Hero Academia is... would hate these arcs. But I poked around on Twitter and just asked people, and the response I got was, for the most part, people really liked this arc and liked it in the manga as well, like, to a point where I honestly wondered if it was a filler arc. They say they liked this arc from the manga as well, and it was actually the previous arc, the one which I didn't like with Overhaul and his big stupid mask, that he was hilarious evil villain, was the one that was actually way less universally praised, was way more controversial. And I'm like, yes, that's my opinion too. I was not a fan of that arc. The pacing wasn't very good. The animation actually wasn't even very good either. And I just never found it felt very strained and stereotypical. And I mean, My Hero Academia is always very stereotypical, to be honest. This arc actually sticks out as being kind of weird and unique. But yeah, I'm so on board with this. Give me more Gentle Criminal and La Brava. Give me more of this tone, which is kind of hard to go back to, considering we've had, like, Evil No Face, All for One, Evil Bastard. But yeah, also Keep Me Next.
It occurs to me that what you're talking about. So remember when I saw Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
How I was like, this is what
Yeah.
I the gloomy guts, grim nature of superhero movies writ large, and the fact that they become so grim.
Yes.
I find a turnoff.
Yes.
And so Birds of Prey, the trailer was compelling to me because it wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
It was cutting loose a bit more, and hey, we're going to have... Harley Quinn's going to shoot up the police station with a shotgun that has glitter rounds.
Yes.
So... Yeah. And
so, like, part of the thing, and it's not like someone is like, ugh, get this edgy shit out of my anime. Like, because there's definitely been a movement lately of, like, get your edgy shit out of my joyful cartoons. And, like, that's not me. I love Attack on Titan. Like,
I think we've kind of, honestly, I think that's kind of
starting to pass. Because I remember a bunch of people saying that.
Off. It's just...
I remember there being a backlash to Made in Abyss when that aired. From people who thought that.
It's just when everything is one option, it can get... And that was, with the superhero films, which I'm not really the audience for that in the first place. But it was the fact that it just... There was no variation. It all has to be super serious.
Yeah. But yeah. But maybe part of it is because My Hero Academia is inherently kind of goofy, with these stupid character designs and their dumbass powers, that are more on board with the gentle criminal ridiculous arcs than the hilarious evil. And on some level, like the fact that you can have these hilarious, ridiculous characters and then tell a dark, deep, meaningful story with them while being goofy and ridiculous is what makes anime special in the first place. But sometimes tonally, the dark tone of some of the later arcs have felt off in My Hero Academia, and this brevity has been kind of what I need. I'm way back on board with the show now, while being kind of wary of what it goes on. Because like there was a point in during the first few episodes of season 4 where I genuinely wondered if I was done with My Hero Academia. But I'm back now, so.
Isn't My Hero Academia just X-Men?
Oh yeah.
I guess it took me this long to figure out because I don't watch it.
Yeah.
And also, I know recently, who was it?
I mean, the show is very, very clearly inspired by American comics. I mean, they're superheroes.
So,
and specifically used...
Recently, there was a comics artist, author, I can't remember her name, who theorized that X-Men has faded as a property. Well, for one thing, because it stopped being it wasn't the thing that was getting movies constantly because of the terms of the deal that Marvel made to do with movies, which wasn't actually a good deal for Marvel. X-Men faded somewhat as a property, and they were theorizing that probably a lot of the people who were reading X-Men or who would have read it, they're reading manga instead.
Oh.
So, this is making me think of that.
I mean, it's so... I mean, they telegraph it super obviously with... I mean, All Might is...
He's Professor X.
I mean, he's Superman. He's supposed to be. He is
the
ultimate all-perfect hero.
He's in reduced form.
Yes.
That's Professor X.
All his moves are like Detroit Smash and like his super amazing move to defeat the evil villain in the previous arc was United States of Smash. All Might is my favorite part of the show. He always has been. He is a hero and I love him. But yeah.
So he's like if Superman and Professor X had a baby. Got it.
Yes. But was much more... Superman just became a symbol. All Might actively tried to be that symbol and understands the value of that in a way that... then again, I've never been into Superman, so...
I mean, Superman is an immigrant story.
Yes, whereas All Might is not.
And it's about becoming American.
Whereas that's not All Might's story.
No, he's Japanese, so it would be kind of hard for it to be about. Yeah. And he's not like Japanese immigrating to America or Japanese American.
Yes. He's someone trying to do the right thing and be a symbol for other people so they can do the right thing themselves. All Might's a powerful... All Might is why the show is interesting.
Alright, I think we've kind of worn out anything we could say. I mean, I mentioned Eizouken at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I am way behind on it. It just finished. It's getting a second season, which is decently compelling for me to finish the first because...
You like the show?
Yeah, I like it decently. I'm a little weirded out by some of the female character designs because the show seems like it's aimed at 10-year-olds.
And then here's this girl with her thong out.
Yeah, like, oh, hey, her thong straps are up over her hips. And her shirt is like 10 sizes too small, which is a little weird. However, I do enjoy its sense of humor and its dedication to everybody totally misunderstanding Eizouken.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's the whole premise of the show.
Yeah.
Eizouken, whose parents might be the worst parents, actually, in anime... because they sell him to a demon, which even Hayate's parents didn't do.
Shinji gets sold to a demon.
Anyway, so much of it's premised on everybody misunderstanding Eizouken, who is desperately trying to prevent everybody from realizing he's a human because his new school's theme song is about eating humans, so he's understandably doesn't want them to figure it out. So it's just... You know, I don't actually like misunderstandings as humor very often, but because in Eizouken they're so
Stupid.
Well, they're not nasty in nature to any degree.
They just want to eat him.
No, it's more the misunderstandings that crop up are purely comical.
Oh.
It's like, oh, I thought you managed to get to the end of this course because, like, you're so amazing that whatever.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, you are showing that you're so much stronger than me by you won't even engage with my attempted stabs with my demon sword. You just keep dodging. Whereas Iruma-kun, it's like, I'm good at dodging because otherwise I would have died in one of my low-income jobs that I've held since the age of 5. So that's funny. It's not like, I saw you were walking with a girl and I got totally the wrong impression and now we hate each other and but this is also funny because haha, I'm so stupid for getting the wrong idea. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate too the weirder elements, like Clara.
The green-haired girl.
Yeah, I can appreciate her weirdness.
She is.
She's really bizarre and in a way that I don't think a lot of female characters get to be.
There's a 13-year-old young otaku out there, girl, who is socially awkward and is now going to base her entire personality of trying to be like Clara.
That's kind of frightening.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would advise that in real life. Anyway, so anime, motherfucking anime.
I mean, look.
It's been a pretty decent season.
Yes.
Even the stuff that I'm like, this isn't very good, it's entertaining.
And we've ended up watching completely different things as well.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But yeah, look, guys, stay safe out there, or better yet,
don't take orders from metal plates spat out of a wall.
Yes. Also, don't stay indoors, stay safe.
You can go in the woods, unless you're in Germany, in which case the woods are fucking full of people right now.
Crazy world out there, but you know what you can do? If you stay inside and watch anime, like all the ones that we're recommending here, you'll be perfectly fine. Go watch Invaded, go watch Inspector, go watch Eizouken, go watch Richard the Jeweler.
Please watch Richard the Jeweler, please, please, please. I want someone to license the lighthouse.
And we'll speak to you next time, probably for the spring season once the first few episodes come out. And we'll see you then.
If they come out.
Oh God.
Bye.
Bye.